Hi, this is Paul from globaltradingsoftware.com, and this is a instructional video, if you like, just to show you the new xBrat range breakout for ThinkorSwim. We've got it for other platforms, but we've just launched it for ThinkorSwim, and unlike the other platforms, the previous sessions are actually kept on the chart, something that ThinkorSwim allows us to do. So what I'm going to do is go through probably the last 3-4 days and to the current day to show you how you would use this range breakout indicator and what it's all about. So again, it's available for other platforms, but I'm using the ThinkorSwim version in this video. So what we have is the London Stock Exchange Open. You see the bias for the range. So the range is defined here, it's labeled, but then we have the bias for the range is yellow, so there's indecision there, so you can either go long or short, and what you would look to do is put an entry to go long, an entry to go short, because it's an either way type situation there. And then you can see how we push out through this opening range and the bias turns green. Then we go into the New York Stock Exchange Open, wider range, okay, which is normal, lots more volatility. The range is green, so you're looking for a long breakout. So if you're in this original trade and you're using this manager here to manage the trade, fine, add some more when it comes out and breaks out of this opening range to the upside. If not, then you trade the opening range. Here you look for the long break in the range, use the manager to manage the trade all the way to the close. Then overnight we come down and test that opening range again. You see how the bias turns red there. If it breaks out to the downside, we'd be looking for a short. It doesn't. So with the London Stock Exchange Open, then the following day we get green bias in that opening range, but it breaks down to the downside here. Find support here at the previous New York session opening range, which is normal, and this is really good for identifying those support and resistance zones on your chart. We're coming back up, we get green bias here. We should trade that breakout to the upside, but it fails. That's fine. We get a stop loss just here, we take it out, but then we start to come down. We see how the bias turns red, and then the trade here is, because we're probably going to miss this trade coming out to the downside, because that takes us out of this long trade here. We're then breaking down. If this breaks down below the London Open, or sorry, the previous day's New York Stock Exchange Open here, the bias is red, we go short, and this is the big short here, okay? We then get the New York Stock Exchange Open. The bias is red, we're not taking this long trade. Okay, the bias for that opening range is red. We're not taking that long trade. It comes to test the London opening range and comes back down again. The trade here is when it comes back down through that New York Stock Exchange opening range. The bias for the range turns red, so you're only interested in shorts, and you trade this breakout to the downside into the close and further if you wish. Use the manager here, another of the xBrat trading indicators, to manage this trade all the way to the London Open. Again, the London Open here, the range bias is green, so we're only looking for longs. We don't get it. We get these what we call a candy stripe here. We're getting red, yellow, green, red, yellow, but all of a sudden then that original open range, remember, was green. We go green again here on this candle. The next candle breaks out. We take the long here into the New York Stock Exchange Open. We get that opening range. We can go for the long at this point here. We get a nice, 200 tick move up to the top and that breakout there, and then it comes back down. And then look what happens. The bias for these ranges turn red. We break out then. See how the bias comes into that London opening range, finds support at the bottom, comes back up again, and then we get the breakout to the downside to the end of the session again. So it's not just that opening range. We define the range and continue that through and tell you whether you should be looking for longs or shorts. We then come into today, we get the London opening range, The bias is red, only looking for the shorts, and look at that breakout to where we are today. So this breakout is good for futures and forex, and we look at different time frames for those types of futures. So for currencies, for example, we look at range breakouts for the 10-minute time frame, for metals and energy 5-minute, and for indexes we look at 15-minute, and we've got prescribed opening times as well. So we look at gold pit opens, oil pit opens. You can trade oil, you can trade gold, and you can move all of these start times around. When we go into the session opening ranges here, you can see here I've got the European gold pit open there. I've got that as designed for no at the moment, because that's not going to affect my ES trade. We've got the London opening time, which is enabled. We've got the New York gold session, which is disabled at the moment because I'm not trading gold. If I just go to the gold chart now, so again, we're on the 5-minute time frame now, and we've got the European and the gold and the New York gold pit opening ranges here. So again, we can go back in time, we can look at these, very, very simple. European gold pit open here is red. We look for the short, comes down, tests support into the New York gold. We come back up, the range turns green. Okay, the range turns green just before the New York gold pit open, so you probably wait for that gold pit open here. The range bias is green, only looking for the longs, the long breakout. There it is. Again, if we go back, if we go to Friday, this was a big move here. We had the New York gold pit open down here. The bias turns to yellow, then green, and then breakouts, and just goes all the way to the end of the session there. We're then coming into today. We're not interested in this long trade because the bias is red. Okay, so we are not looking at that long breakout. What we're looking for is moves back through that opening range today. So there's set rules here. If we get we only trade in the way of the bias. If we get a yellow, we can trade either way. If we get red, we're only interested in the shorts. If we get green, we're only interested in the longs. We go back in time, we can see here another one. We get the New York gold pit open, and the gold goes well. Again, New York gold pit open here, only interested in the longs. See how it dips down and tests, then comes back through. The bias is green, we take the long. Very, very, very important that we continue to watch this range during the rest of the trading session, because it gives you lots more trading opportunities. Hopefully that explains the xBrat range breakout in a little bit more detail. We've just launched it for the ThinkorSwim platform, and it is also available for lots of other platforms. Check out the links below.